Alrighty. Well, it is, what time is it anyway? It's nearly 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I've got to go out. I got to get into town and do some things. Um, yeah. Anyway, I was giving some thought to a debate I had with a woman on Facebook with one of these woke type people on the topic of abortion. And one thing I've noticed, and I think it's an awful deception, is there's a common belief that a woman gives life because she gives birth. Now, uh, some may be mad at me for saying this, but that's not really true. Um, it would be true if life started at the moment of birth. Then it would be true, which is the argument that's being promoted in order to justify the practice of abortion. The trouble is, it just isn't true. The spark of life comes from the man, and that happens at conception. The egg has no life in it until it meets the sperm. The sperm is what actually has the life in it. And that's actually been shown. There's video where you can actually see a conception take place. It's amazing the technology they have now. I mean, it's a little scary, but it's also amazing. And when the egg and the sperm meet, you can actually see there's like a spark. There's like a flash of light. It's the sperm that has the life, not the egg, though. So the spark of life actually comes from the man, not from the woman. And that occurs at conception. And therefore, that is a living being right from the moment of conception. So the argument, but what they're trying to do is a lot of these people who are very woke are trying to push the narrative that a woman gives life. That just isn't so. A woman facilitates life. Now, a man cannot have a baby by himself. A man needs a woman in order to have a baby. No man ever ended up having a baby just by by himself. It doesn't work. Likewise, a woman needs some input from a man. She can't just get pregnant without a man's involvement somehow. Even if it's a situation of artificial insemination, in that case, the man doesn't even have to be in the room when the pregnancy happens, when the conception occurs. But there's still a man involved in the process at some point. So there's no way around it. Women need men because men carry the spark of life. And men need women because women are the facilitators, the nurturers, and the facilitators of that. Um, if you start a little fire, let's say you're camping and you start a fire, the fire starts off basically just as a spark. It starts off as a tiny little thing, and then you gradually nurture it, you bring it along, you build up to it, and it grows. You put some small kindling in there and you get it going more, and then you put some bigger stuff in there, and before long you'll have quite a good campfire. But the thing is, it starts out just as a little spark, and then it has to be nurtured to grow. Well, in the case of a human being, in the start of a human being, the spark comes from the man, but it's nurtured and grown by the woman, you see. So both are equally necessary. None of us is here without an equal input from both, in the sense that both are equally necessary. And so to say that life begins at birth is a lie. It really is. And to say that a woman is the giver of life is also a lie. This is the argument that's being used to say that a man shouldn't have an opinion because women have babies and men are not involved or whatever, which is complete insanity. That's not how it works. Anybody who's studied basic biology can tell you that's not how it works. Anybody who's lived in the world and hasn't been completely brainwashed by the crap, by all the crap that's being pushed these days about how men can get periods and men can have babies and how there's, I don't know how many different genders now. I can't keep track of it, but there's more than two apparently. There's like dozens or hundreds or something. I don't know. All that stuff, that's all crap. That's not true. But unless you've been thoroughly brainwashed into believing all this stuff somehow, which I don't know how a person could be really, but some are, then you can't possibly believe the lie, and it is a lie, that a man has no part in it. And I mean, it's just not. It's not a legitimate argument. The life comes from the man. It's funny. I remember when I was in high school having a conversation with a friend of mine, a female friend, and she was talking about how she was having sex with her boyfriend and how he would fall asleep, and it was annoying to her because he'd just roll over and go to sleep after they had sex. And she was full of life and energy. She was energized after having sex. And I said, well, at that time, even as a teenager, I said to her, I said, well, um, it drains a man, drains the guy, though. I said, it does. It drains the guy in every way imaginable. And I said, basically what it is, I said, is it's the life goes out of you. As a guy, when you have sex, the life goes out of you. And so I said, yeah, we get that we just want to sleep, you know, because the life goes out of us. And I said, possibly for the female, what's happening is she's getting this injection from the man of life into her body. So that's possibly why you get hyper and you just want to do something. You don't want to just lay there after sex and all he wants to do is go to sleep because he's transferred all his energy into you, even though a pregnancy hasn't occurred. Still the same thing happens. He transferred all his energy into you, and that's the reason for that. And it made sense. She agreed that that's probably what it was because she wasn't a crazy woke person like the people we have now. But even back then, I remember having that conversation, and that's what I told this girl that was a friend of mine. I said, well, because she told me that she was kind of upset with the boyfriend because he just wanted to sleep all the time after they had sex. But anyway, the bottom line is this. The spark of life does come from the man, but the woman facilitates it, and both are equally necessary to bring it to fruition. And the act of giving birth is the bringing of it to fruition. That's when you bring the whole thing to fruition, is when you give birth, and that is a woman who does that. And so, yes, both are equally important. It can't be done without both. The only way that I know of that it can be done is through cloning, and that doesn't really work. You end up with a bad copy is what you end up with, and you end up with all kinds of problems. It's not really a great thing, cloning, at least not so far. I mean, maybe they'll develop the technology, I don't know, but so far it isn't a great thing. Anyway, bottom line is, it's basically a dishonest thing. It's a lie that's being told in order to promote a practice that really shouldn't be promoted, and in order to cut the male half of the equation out of the loop, basically, when it comes to the decision making, you know? And so, yeah, it isn't good anyway. It isn't a good thing. It's a deception, and deception is never a good thing. But we got to remember we're living in a world run by Lucifer, and Lucifer is the great deceiver. He's the father of lies, according to Scripture. And so this is what we get. We get it in so many things. If you look at the traditional roles of men and women, which have changed now, of course, but I'm talking traditional roles, how it always was up until fairly recently. The man has always been the provider and the woman has always been the facilitator. The man goes and works and earns the money to buy the food. The woman takes the food and makes a meal out of it. The man will go out and work and earn the money to buy a house, and he buy a house. The woman would make the house a home. The same is true with the process of creating life. The man provides the spark of life, fertilizes the egg with his life, basically, with that spark of life he carries within him. The woman facilitates the growth and the development of that, and then brings it forth into the world from her body. Both things are equally necessary. But to say that, that the woman gives life by giving birth, that is just a lie that's being told to promote the practice of abortion. That's all that is. And I know there's arguments made to say that, well, there's the victims of rape, the victims of incest, women who have medical issues where to carry a baby to term or to give birth could kill them. There have always been exceptions whenever there was a law against abortion on demand. There were always exceptions made, So, and the thing is, those circumstances are rare. The majority of abortions that are happening are not happening because the woman's life is in danger, or because the woman got impregnated by her father, or some teenage girl got impregnated by her father, or whatever, or her brother, or whatever. That the majority are not through that, So let's just be clear about that. The majority are happening because of a decision that's made for other reasons that have nothing to do with health or safety or with incest and so on, and rape and so on. Anyway, that's it. That's an opinion that'll probably raise some people's ire, but that is how I feel about it. I've noticed these days there's a lot of lies being told in order to promote a lot of things that aren't right. And it isn't just that. Just that what I just talked about here. There's so many other lies that are being told in order to promote things that aren't right. And the fact that a thing has to have a lie be told in order to uphold it, that's a good indication that that's not a good thing. If I have to tell you a lie in order to uphold my actions, I'm probably doing wrong. That's the bottom line, You shouldn't have to lie in order to justify yourself or in order to justify your actions if what you're doing is right. The truth should be all the proof that you need that what you're doing is right and correct. Anyway, that's it. We'll talk to y'all later. Rocky's having a sleep in his box over there. Maybe I'll show you Rocky, because you just had to listen to something that offended you possibly. So there you go. Not that you had to listen to it. You were free to turn it off at any time. But there's Rocky having a sleep. I don't know what you can see of him, but he's in the box there anyway. And we'll talk to y'all later.